Good evening and welcome to the Drive at 5 on IntellectualRadio.com/iHeartRadio station. I'm your host, Roman. We have a great show planned for you today. Please don't forget to stay tuned to IntellectualRadio.com/iHeartRadio station after the Drive for Warriors talk with Rochelle at 6 p.m. She always brings you the inspiration and a little something else to you. So stay tuned at 6 p.m. with Rochelle Warriors Talk. Tonight, my guest is a registered nurse and the author of her latest book entitled Excuse Your Excuses, a story of overcoming life's many obstacles. Please give a Drive at 5. Welcome to Lakhila Tellis, correct?
Sorry, no.
No.
Lakhila.
Lakhila, okay, Lakhila Tellis.
You were close.
Okay, I
Thank
was close enough.
Yes.
Okay,
I felt the passion.
okay, everything was right up to that point. Okay, please give intellectualradio.com/iHeartRadio station your background.
Well, I am a registered nurse. I'm actually celebrating 20 years being a nurse now. Um, I am a CNA instructor, a CPR instructor, and I currently work at a local nursing home and as a manager, nurse manager. And I just released my first book this past May, so I'm excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like you're very enthusiastic about it. So tell us about the book, Excuse Your Excuses.
Well, this book, I took a lot of time with writing it because I wanted to tell my story. Although I had every excuse of why I shouldn't write the story, but I felt that it was needed. One, because I needed to share my story with women like myself who have endured traumatic experiences, who are still carrying the hurts and burden from their past. And they may live somewhat functional, but they have these issues that they just can't get past. So I wanted to share the principles that I use to improve my way of living, how I changed my mindset so I can help other women like myself and even men. But primarily, yes, women to reach out and let them know you're not alone. It can get better. You can let go and you can live a happier life. It's a choice.
So you basically said is life.
Yes.
So what was that moment, that motivation to say, I need to write a book to help others?
That moment. Honestly, I was reading another book. One of my mentors, Johnny Wimbery, From the Hood to Doing Good. And I was on a flight with my children reading his book. My first time taking my 4 children to Disneyland by myself. And I was reading his story and now I was in tears because I was relating to his story and understanding, it doesn't take that much to make such a huge impact because that's what his story did for me. So I'm like, there are people out here like me. And that's the feedback I've been getting. Like people from a totally different background, financially, their ethnicities, where they live, just the feedback of, wow, I've been through this, or I understand. We never knew we had so much in common. That alone was huge for me.
The title, Excuse Your Excuses, is very unique.
Mhm.
However, powerful title. Tell us about coming up with that title.
Oh my gosh. I went back and forth with different titles.
What was the first one that popped into your mind, and then describe how you come to that?
The only other one that I battled with, it was 2 that I really remember. It was Excuse Your Excuses and On My Journey. But On My Journey wasn't enough. It didn't speak to where I was going with this book. So Excuse Your Excuses, I chose that because that's what I was doing. I was making so many excuses for why I was acting out, for why I made choices that I made, but it was me who had to take responsibility and acknowledge what I was doing wrong or what was really going on and why. I can blame whomever, but I wasn't accountable for my own actions. So I had to excuse those excuses so I can get my life together and get my mind right.
So the title that says, okay, excuse, and
Mm-hmm.
then excuse the excuses.
Mm-hmm.
So let's say, for example, okay, in this book, you want to help women overcome their hurt,
Mm-hmm.
their pain, enduring their obstacles.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel women make excuses to overcome their obstacles?
I'm not necessarily saying they are making excuses, but yes, as women, we are more inclined to, what's the right word? We do. Yes, we do.
And why you say that?
Because we're so caring. And we will
You
try
sure
to,
about that?
very much
Are
so.
you saying all or are you saying some?
Most women,
Okay.
it's most of us, it's in our nature.
To
A
care.
mother, yes, to care and to just keep moving, especially myself. I know as a single mother, I have a lot of friends that are mothers, single mothers, married women. It's a lot that we carry, and we will make an excuse for everyone else and allow things to pile up on us before we even take care of ourselves.
Is it an excuse to get out or is it an excuse to get in or to stay in that position?
It could be both. We'll come up with an excuse to say, for example, someone who's in an unhappy relationship or something, they'll come up with excuses, or I have to stay because of the children, things like that, or I have to stay because of the income. We do come up with reasons and, so to speak, psych ourselves out to justify why we are in a situation.
Is it because the victim role or is it because they like the attention
That I
or
can't speak for every woman. I know for me, at a point, and I mentioned this in my book, it was almost like I was looking for attention. Yes, I was looking for love. That's what I think
but it
it
was in the
truly
wrong
is.
places, in all
Yes,
the wrong places.
absolutely. Yes. It,
So let me tell you that
okay.
because it's a we're vibing here.
Okay.
Okay. So tell me about um what are the typical excuses you hear women make while going through their situation?
Hmm.
Because it I think in the book
Hmm.
you did some analysis.
Hmm.
You talked to some girlfriends.
Hmm.
You talk to someone and then you're like, yeah, same excuse, the
Yeah.
typical excuse.
Yeah.
So you say what?
What do I say to their excuses, or what are some
What are
that?
what are the typical excuses
Oh, of course, our
women you hear?
children. We do things for our children, and sometimes it's more detrimental to our children, the situations we may be in. We make that excuse of, again, the finances may be a reason, or we don't want to hurt the other person. Even though we are unhappy in our situations and we're hurting, we don't want to hurt our partners or whomever, because it's not always the relationship with the spouse or that significant other. It's sometimes relationships within our families. It could be a work relationship. We will try to take on as much as we can and try to stay so strong, but it's not really beneficial to us.
The excuses.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying, but
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's gonna change.
he's just going through,
Yes.
but they're going through at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the typical excuse?
I mean, again, I can't speak for everyone, but yes, it's quite often because when we're in life, obviously, we have so many relationships. Again, we have our personal relationships. You have your relationship with your friends, you have your relationship with your spouse, significant other. And yes, relationships are sometimes, like with a significant other, are sometimes the hardest because we want to be with the partners we choose. We want to save face, I think sometimes. We don't want to be embarrassed. I mean, for everybody is
But
different.
it's sometimes okay for that significant other to embarrass you.
No, but that's where that excuse comes in. He didn't mean to, or it'll never happen again, or this never happened before. it's up to us to speak up for ourselves. But yes, a lot of times we're too afraid of telling the truth.
Most of the time.
Yeah. Because we're so busy trying to protect someone else's feelings and emotions.
Okay, and I'm glad you mentioned that
I'm
because
scared now.
you know what it some women and the key word is some.
Yes.
Matter of fact,
Okay.
let me rephrase that. Most women,
Okay.
when you said that, brought up a whole bunch of other
Oh
questions.
Lord.
Here we go. Number one, I think you make some women, or no, most women makes matters worse when they try to. I'm trying to save his feelings or preserve his
Mm-hmm.
feelings. I'm trying to, it makes matters worse instead of being real.
Yeah, that's true. I agree.
So why do you do that?
I can't speak for all of them, but in my opinion, it's that protection. We don't
What they're
want to hurt
protecting.
feelings, but this is what
But
I don't think.
no matter, and sorry to cut you off, no
Okay.
matter what,
Mm-hmm.
you're still going to hurt that person's
Oh yeah.
feelings. It's either somewhere down the line, if it that feeling train
Uh-huh.
got to depart somewhere.
Yes. I think, and I'm guilty of it. As a woman, I used to be more emotional about things and making decisions. I
Can you
have
give us an example?
um not right off the top of my head, but let me finish. By the time I finish, maybe I can.
Okay.
But as I became older, I stopped thinking about making decisions off of my emotions. I had to think like a lion in the jungle. Do you think that a lion is going to survive off of his feelings? No, it's going to be logic. That takes time to even train your brain to think that way. It is very hard to be honest when you have to face someone with the truth because, again, you don't want to hurt them. It's still in my nature. I want to be protective of a person's feelings. But I have to be honest with them. And I have to give them the choice if they want to deal with me or not after they hear the truth.
Okay. 9 times out of 10, like the song says, I got a
Mhm.
man, but what your man got to do with me? Okay.
Okay.
So when it comes down to relationships,
Mhm.
are the excuses more relationship oriented or goal oriented? What
For who?
for
When?
for
For
women
women?
mainly?
That I don't know. I can't speak on that.
And then
I can speak on me.
so
Sorry.
so so okay, you did some analysis.
Yes. Which
Okay,
one?
on relationships.
Okay.
Okay, so you talk about preserving feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, like I said, some women prefer the side chick role. They don't have to
Yes.
deal with the man constantly calling them and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. However, when it comes to those holidays, baby, can you come? Thanksgiving, I put some turkey and stuff like that. And then it's like we had this discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And are is it a self-esteem issue that comes with the excuses?
Mm-hmm.
Because 9 times out of 10, most women will sit there and basically say, I don't mind being a side chick,
Uh-huh.
but they don't know. They think they know the list of responsibilities of being a side chick. But when they actually come up to that role, then they're like, I'm
Mhm.
single on a New Year's Eve. What you think the
Yeah.
guy is going to choose?
I love this topic. So I can happily say I am single right now, but I will still refuse to be anybody's side chick. That's number one. I am divorced, as I mentioned in my book, but in my relationship, I knew what I was doing and the mistakes that he and I both made. But I did stay in a relationship with excuses.
Like,
Um, oh man.
Was it
One,
more
it was more
of protecting him or what?
no, initially it was protecting my family, saving face for both of us, proving a point. We had been together for so many years. And for me, we gonna be together forever. We made it this far. But some of us, when you get older, you mature. When you get older, you become more responsible. Some of us. But I knew what I was doing was not right. I was not happy. And we were more so growing apart than growing together. So we had to separate. It wasn't a beautiful separation, but we are good friends now. But
Did you try to make an excuse to go back to the valley?
no,
Why?
because I was done.
Well, there are some women that likes to dib and dab in the valley.
I mean, okay, well, what do you mean? Like to be back together or just, I mean.
Read between the lines. Dib and dab in the valley.
No comment. No. But honestly, yeah.
Because you're talking about excuses.
Yeah.
The excuses is number one, and I'm just speaking for me as a male.
Okay.
The women stay in that situation because number one, they don't want to go back into the dating world.
True.
Number two, it's hard to find a good black man, or it's hard to find a man. Or it's just hard.
It is.
No, it's not.
It's not.
It's not.
Well, tell me the secret.
No, it basically it's okay. Let me say that. I know this is your book, but let me the number one excuse.
Okay.
I hear as a man is there are no good black men out there for black women. They degrade the black men. And that's the number one excuse to give them, like you said, an excuse to do what they're doing, like the side chick role, because they're lazy not to find a good black man, because sometimes that good black man is under their nose. It's kind of like this old meme. And I'm just going to say it. I pray to God every day for a good black man, but you just don't give it. And God turned around and said, I did, but you call him your friend. Why women make that mistake and make excuses for that?
I think you mentioned this earlier. Sometimes, yes, women have their own insecurities. There are many self-esteem issues, and sometimes we don't recognize it, or sometimes we are aware. And I mentioned this in my book. It's important to be self-aware, understanding yourself. So it's going to be hard to find a good person when you don't know how to be a good person too. If you don't even know who you are, how can you find a person that's going to make you happy? You don't even know how to make yourself happy.
I need time to find me, and me needs to find me. And
yeah, you need to have your life together first. It's always a work in progress. This is something that I am clearly aware of, but you have to acknowledge that.
But
a lot
women
of times
don't acknowledge that. That's the issue. Here's the problem that I have.
Why you think I wrote my book?
Well, I'm not talking about you, but I'm talking about most women.
Okay.
It's kind of like, why would you go on a dating site if you're not ready to date?
Yeah.
Why would you I need somebody to cuddle and fuzzy wuzzy and all that good stuff, and they're not ready for it.
That's true.
So it's basically sometimes they speak stuff to existence without knowing what's on the horizon and the stuff that they're really looking for. They make excuses of not to.
Yeah. And sometimes they're really not ready, and they don't clearly ask for what they want. Sometimes it's just that image. Oh, my best friend has, their husband, or you see your favorite relative, your cousin, and they're going on dates. They're doing this, and that person may imagine themselves having that. They have this, they want that relationship, but they're not even ready for it. They're not even ready for when there's an argument, when it's time to have those tough conversations about finances, having children, things like that. It's more to a relationship than hugs and kisses, going on dates, holidays, or spending money. It's a lot that goes with composing a relationship and maintaining a relationship.
The number one excuse is
Mhm.
they want to be like the Joneses. They want to
Yeah.
be like Portia off of Housewives of Atlanta.
Hmm.
They want to be like her. They want to dib and dabble, be the side or the sweet potatoes and all that good stuff. But when it comes to the reality,
Hmm.
they're not ready to step up to the plate
Right.
emotionally.
Hmm.
And then they want to tell the good man all their doggone problems.
That I can't explain. I mean, honestly, because again, I've never been the type to be a side chick. I've always thought, and I still do, think highly of myself. I know that I'm a good enough woman, a work in progress, but I can handle my own. And there's nothing wrong with choosing a position of being that woman that's going to be taken care of or that's going to be 50-50. That's all up to you because, that man may want that. He may be okay, but it depends on the person that you are. But again, women need to really be honest with themselves. And that reality TV stuff is just way too much for me right now because, yes, a lot of people see this stuff and think that's real life. It just happens like that. These relationships just come out of nowhere and you have some rich man in another country that just wifes you. I mean, that's not the reality. Maybe it can happen, but you still need to have yourself together. You have to be of some type of substance. You need to be self-aware. I think that's the most important thing, knowing who you are, what you like, what you do not like.
Okay, let's say you're saying who you are.
Hmm.
Who are you?
Me personally?
No, I'm just
Okay.
saying.
Because
If
I'll tell
somebody's
you.
listening to
Yes. Yes.
intellectualradio.com, trying to define
Hmm.
who they are, what what they represent,
Hmm.
what they need in a man, since
Hmm.
we're talking about that.
Okay.
And sometimes they don't even know themselves, but they out there. And
Yeah.
you don't have to take me to Benihana's, but
Right.
you can take me to White Castles. Ooh, they got some good burgers there. And
Hmm.
some guys be like, what?
Hmm.
Don't take me to um you know an expensive restaurant.
Hmm.
Take me to Chili's.
Yeah.
And some guys be like, what?
In that case, I would say to her, first of all, be quiet and just enjoy the moment. Let him take you where he wants to take you. If it's not what you're used to, that I think that's what it is too. I don't know if we feel like we don't deserve certain things or we don't want to put on this image like we're gold diggers or things like that, but that doesn't mean that you are just because you're going to a nice restaurant or you're receiving nice gifts. Sometimes it's one thing to be humble, there's nothing wrong with that, but we need to recognize our value, but we should be aware of what we want. You should know. How could anyone ever provide you what you need if you don't even know what you need? How do you go to the grocery store? That's like me sending one of my kids to the grocery store and just say, "Here's the money. Go get what I want." How are they going to know if I never tell them?
But the problem, most men endure.
Mhm.
You tell them what they want,
Mhm.
they accommodate, they
Mhm.
get yelled at, they get
Mm.
penalized, they get this and they get
Mhm.
that. And it goes back to what you're saying.
Okay.
If a guy complies,
Mhm.
oh, I'm low maintenance. Okay, you're low maintenance. Let's go to
That's
McDonald's.
because she lying then.
Well, you don't. What I'm saying is, don't. If you're making that excuse
Mhm.
or assume
Mhm.
that a man,
Mm.
assume
It's a key
that,
word. Assume.
and that's that. What's the definition of assume? The key word is,
Yeah. Mhm.
and usually 9 times out of 10, that's what happens,
Yeah.
and you penalize the guy for listening. The
Yeah.
key thing is why women say guys don't listen to me, But when they listens to you, they make
Mhm.
an excuse saying, that's not what I want. But
Mhm.
that's what you said.
Yeah. And that comes from not having that clear communication. In that situation, I truly believe it's just within that person. They're not sure. They're saying one thing, but that's not what they mean. Or they're trying to be modest. No, don't be modest. Be for real. Let them know what you want and what you expect. I mean, how can you get what you want out of life or the relationship if you're not clearly telling the man what you want? I'll tell you right now, if a guy says, hey, I'm going to wine you down, you do this, do that. Okay, great. I'm not going to stop him. I'm not going to be, oh no, I'm not ready. No, let's go. Where are we going? What should I wear? Plain and simple. But it's having clear communication and being honest. And that's one of the biggest issues. We are not honest within ourselves. We don't even know the truth or acknowledge it.
And 9 times out of 10, they always say, well, you know, I tried, but,
Man, don't be giving all us women a hard time now.
yeah, I tried, but they always do this.
But some of
Yeah.
these guys are not the greatest either, though.
And that
Don't come
gives
for us
me,
women. No.
but here's this. How do
Yes.
men fit in the equation?
Mhm.
Because men endure obstacles, men
Yeah,
endure
absolutely.
pain, men do endure heartbreak,
Hmm.
and they make excuses for their females.
Yeah, they do.
Your thoughts?
My thoughts is the same thing. People are looking for love. So, again, one, you're going to protect the other person's feeling. You mentioned as well, a lot of times people don't want to start over. They feel like they're going to deal with the same situation. I hear a lot of people say, well, there's nobody else out here. I'm going to have to start all over, do this all again, the dating. They don't want to start over. Right now, what are the options? Like we have so many things going on in the world today. Primarily, I'll say this COVID. So you can't socialize as much as you used to. You don't want to go out as much. So some people do resort to the dating sites. But then you're afraid that you're going to get catfish. You don't know who you're dealing with.
There's this thing that you're doing right now,
Mhm.
this thing called
No, that's true.
alive.
Yeah, that's true too. But even with the lies, you're talking to someone and they might not still be who they say they are. And that can happen even if you meet that person face to face. So people are afraid of going out there, putting themselves out there and having to go through the pains of a relationship as well.
But why go out there if you're afraid of the pain? If
People
you're
don't want to be
praying,
alone.
well, you got to accept one or the other. I mean, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you can't just say, "Oh, I'm going to be alone forever. I'm not doing this." But there are people who say that. There's some people, but I think it's important. If you're that type of person, if you want to date forever, you have to be clear with the people you are talking to. You have to tell them, "Look, I don't ever want to get married. I'll date. We can do everything else and socialize, but that should be something that's discussed and agreed upon." But some people, they still get those emotions. Those emotions get involved. And that's when logic is out the window. When you put your, but I feel so good around you. But, oh, you make me happy. Or it could be something else that just grabs your heart. And that person, you just feel like you're stuck.
Speaking of stuck, why women and men just leave the situation and just say, I'm done? You said you did it.
Mhm.
It's not that easy to say, I'm done, and you make an excuse. So give us an idea of solutions
Okay.
of I'm done. You said you're done. You
Mhm.
were married. You
Mhm.
tried to work it out.
Mhm.
Now you're the best of friends
Mhm.
without any heartbreak, without it. It
Mhm.
was a clean break.
Mhm.
How?
Well, first of all, it wasn't a clean break. It was a jagged break, real jagged at first. But because we have children, we both love our children. we we communicated and we worked together to figure out what it would take for us to be better together to co-parent for our children. We grew up, we had spent at the time half our lives together, but we had to make that decision together. We had to be mentally ready and willing to do that. So just because I'm over what was going on, that, sometimes in a relationship, the other person may not be over it. They could still be hurt. They could still be mad. They could still be bitter, or vice versa. But it's important if people are strong enough to come together to have that conversation. That's a big thing. Having these difficult conversations.
Yeah. So again, making excuses to stay in a situation
Mhm.
is much harder or easier for a person that's in that situation.
I think it's much harder.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're still unhappy. You are making most of the time, if it's that bad, you're both miserable, one or the other, if not both. So it's going to make it harder for you to get out of that relationship. It's going to be harder for you to heal because you've been hurting yourself for so long. That's almost like abusing yourself when you let yourself stay in a relationship that you're unhappy in.
But some people say, I would say, well, he came back to me, so I guess he want to be used some more. Or she came back to me, they want to be used some more. I'll let the door open and kind of like say, it'll be different this time.
Yeah.
It'll be different, but you say what?
I say BS. I mean, usually it's the same thing over and over. It may be good for a while, but the next thing you know, they start to resort back to their old behaviors. See, what it is, they'll do what you've been asking them to do. Like you said, maybe this woman wants jewelry, flowers, or just some attention. That man will come back and he'll do everything that she always wanted for a little while. It may be weeks, it may be months, it may be a year. But once he's tired of doing that and he feels that he has her again, it's over with. He's going to go back to being who he was. And the same thing for a woman. All that is manipulation.
So why there is an excuse for manipulating a person?
Why is there an excuse?
Mm-hmm.
There is no excuse. It's just what people are willing to accept because they want to believe that somebody is being honest with them. But that's what manipulation is. It's deception. That's how you can manipulate somebody because you're going to give them what they need or what they want. You're going to come with that sob story. You're going to come up with this grand lie or whatever, and you're going to paint this vivid picture for that person to be emotionally attached. And then that person is going to make that wrong decision, unfortunately, based off of a lie. That's usually how it happens.
But the word comes to mind, deceived.
Mm-hmm.
An excuse to make a deception, to be deceived.
Mm-hmm.
What you say on that?
An excuse?
To deceive a person.
An excuse. There is no excuse. That's selfish. Because they're being that okay, if you have to lie. So let's say you
have a girlfriend that does that.
Okay.
What, you say the same thing that you just said?
I'm honest selfish with my best friend. Yeah.
You selfish?
I would tell my friend if they're wrong. Why would you do that
poor man like that?
Mm-hmm. I sure would.
And she'll say, girl, he's willing. He got a strong back and stuff like that.
I've heard stuff like that
Why
before.
women say that?
Because that's their belief. That's not right. It's not right.
It's a sorry, you know what, belief. It is.
But in a way, that sometimes they box us as, okay, the woman is the provider. Or no, not the provider. She's usually supposed to be at home. She's taking care of the children. Men, they are the providers. They're supposed to be the breadwinners. Nowadays, we don't have that as much. Women and men are just as equal with being the
That's what
breadwinners.
some of the media
Yeah.
is saying.
So
That's
we
not
are,
necessarily reality.
I know. So this is what I'm getting to. But it's unfortunate because people confuse the two. Just because a woman is the breadwinner does not mean that man cannot be a head of the household. It does not mean that that man has, the strength emotionally just as well, because men have feelings too, I'm aware. But they should be treated a certain way. We have to be respectful. But if a man allows the woman to take advantage, then that's what happens. Or if there are men out here flaunting and portraying to be something that they're not, they leave themselves open to be taken advantage of.
Excuses for accomplishing your goal.
Mhm.
What is the normal excuse you hear for a person making an excuse for not accomplishing their goals in life?
Oh goodness, it's a few. Too busy, not enough money, not enough time. I have children, or I supported my partner in their dreams, so I didn't have time for mine. There are quite a few.
And what you say to that?
Um, uh, hmm. Well, it depends on the situation. But there really is no excuse. There's always a way around it. Maybe it would take you a little longer to accomplish your goals, but there is still a way to approach meeting your goals. Maybe you won't be able to go back to school when you want, or you can't take all the classes and be done in 4 years. Maybe you would have to take a couple night classes, or something, or a course or two over the summer. But if your goal is to finish school, you have to figure out what works for you. There is no special handbook that says, okay, you have to do this in life at this time. You have to figure it out for yourself and make it convenient for you. You don't have to compare to someone else.
I'm making an excuse of venturing out. I'm scared to venture out.
Mhm.
You say?
I say most people regret what they didn't do more than what they have done. So you have to take chances. You'll never know. You'll always wonder. And I'm one of those people. My family kind of tease me about it because I am a little impulsive. I will just do something off a whim. So, but I regret, and I would think about what I didn't do before I think about what I did do and the consequences. You, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. A lot of times you can't move ahead if you don't get experience you need.
Period.
Period. Yeah.
What should a person do in stopping the excuses and dive right into solving that problem?
Number one, you have to acknowledge the problem. You have to be aware what the
How do
issue
they
is.
acknowledge the problem?
Well, first they have to know what their problem is. One thing you might know, one huge hint is what people always tell you. You always know that like certain people are going to tell you, you're always doing this or you're always doing that. If everybody in every relationship you have tell you that, I think it's an issue. I don't think everybody's making it up, but you have to really acknowledge it and accept it. And you have to make the decision to make a difference. You can't just ignore it. Some people be like, no, that's not me. Get out of denial. You have to stop denying the truth.
So let's say I have a roadblock,
Mm-hmm.
and that roadblock prevents me from accomplishing that goal. You
Okay.
say children,
Okay.
relationship,
Mm-hmm.
marriage, or just plain old relatives.
Mm-hmm.
How can you just say, you know what? You need to stop making excuses and just venture out.
Mm-hmm.
You say,
Say it again.
okay,
What's your question?
let's say people
You
have
have
a
roadblock.
roadblocks.
Okay.
And that roadblock prevents me from accomplishing my goal.
Okay.
Marriage, children,
Mm-hmm.
so forth and so on. Now they have a whole bunch of ways that you can do from home.
Oh, yeah.
So what's the roadblock now?
There is no roadblock but yourself if that's the case. Because there's always a way around it. Again, like I said, You have to figure things out. There's no handbook on how to do anything like A to Z. It may change. You have to understand life is almost like traffic. You can take the same road every day. What do you do when you have a detour? You're going to have to follow that detour. You don't know where that detour is going to lead you, but it'll still help you end up where your destination is. So that is a roadblock, correct? If you're in traffic, there's construction, let's say. It's always construction on I-90 and 290. So we have to figure out ways to truly set our goals and accomplish them. Use real interventions. I like to use the acronym, the SMART goals. You have to be specific. You have to make sure your goals are measurable. You have to make sure they're attainable. Make sure that they are reasonable for what you want and time measured.
But let's say, for example, I put all the peas in a pot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about to pour water in it. But
Mm-hmm.
no, 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 they say.
Okay.
A roadblock.
Mm-hmm.
And every time you venture out, there's a roadblock.
Mm-hmm.
And now they say, well, damn it, that's it.
You can't give up. Because one thing you have to understand, even on your journey, if it's something that you're truly passionate about and something that you really want, you're going to fight for it. You're going to keep going no matter what. I like to tell people, enjoy your journey. That's what I learned because life is not perfect. There's always something. I feel like as soon as you get closer and closer to those goals, I've seen it. I've gone through it. There's always something. But if you really have a true why and understand your purpose, you're going to keep going no matter what that roadblock is. You're going to take that detour, figure it out. You have to have your mind ready. Mindset is everything. If you believe you can do it, you will do it. Again, that road may not be perfect, but you do have to be ready. Ready to take those turns, ready to make a different move, go a different direction, but still head to your destination to serve your purpose.
The old saying, save the excuse for your mama. Is that a true or false statement? And what is that person trying to say to that other person when they say, save the excuse for your mama?
Mm-hmm. I haven't heard that in a long time, but I think with that,
well, your book said excuses.
Yeah, but I didn't mention that excuse. But from that, the way I interpret it is, it's like, sometimes your mother might be that one who will listen to, whatever you got to say. But as an outsider or whatever my relationship is to you, I'm not your mother. I'm not going to baby you. I'm not going to believe the BS lies that you're coming to me with. I'm going to be honest with you, come better than that. Save it for her. I'm not going to put up with it.
So let's say I just tuned in to
Okay.
IntellectualRadio.com
Okay.
/iHeartRadio station.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say I'm interested in the conversation, interested in excuse for excuses.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to your potential readers and what you want them to get out of it?
Out of my story? I would definitely want them to know that, one, we have to become more self-aware of who we are and what we want. What we want is very difficult sometimes to pinpoint. As Roman has helped me bring out, that we may say certain things, but we may not mean it, or we're not for sure. It's so many emotions evolved. But I definitely want my readers to know that you can change. You have to prepare yourself for what you want. You have to shift your mindset. You have to stop making excuses for any and everything that you come up with. It's not helping you. It's actually hindering you. So to move forward, to rise above your issues, acknowledge what's going on in your life, and excuse your excuses.
Even if you're scared.
Even if you're scared. I'm terrified of a lot of stuff. But again, I can be so afraid of something, but I still do it because, again, I don't want to regret what I didn't do because I don't know what opportunities I may have missed or I may miss.
And that comes with relationships.
Yeah.
That comes with marital.
Mhm.
That comes with accomplishing your goals. All right. So if okay, no problem. So please give intellectualradio.com/iHeartRadio station
Sorry.
where they can purchase the book, how they can get in contact with you.
Okay, absolutely. Well, first off, you can visit my website, www.lakhilatellis.com. That's LAKHILATELLIS. I am also on Barnes and Noble, Target, and Amazon websites if you want to purchase Excuse Your Excuses. On Facebook, you can reach out to me at Lakhila Tellis Speaks. And also, I am on Instagram as iconic_voice.
Okay.
All right.
So you said you have something to give to me, right?
Yes, I have a gift for you. So
Oh,
here
okay.
you
I'm
are.
gonna open it.
Mhm.
Oh, I got the excuse your excuses.
Of course, I gave you the copy of the paperback and a
Oh,
notebook so you can take notes.
okay. So Wanda, I'm gonna have an excuse for you after the show. So don't be a stranger to the Drive at 5,
Okay,
okay?
I will
Wonderful
not. I have
conversation,
fun.
okay?
Yes,
All right.
thank
Not too
you.
many people say that after the show.
I
but-
did because you challenged me. I loved it.
Okay. That's going to do it for us on the Drive at 5 on IntellectualRadio.com. Thanks to Wonder, our executive producer
All right.
today, Earl, who's behind the scenes. You guys have a wonderful week, everyone.
All right.